Okay, I'll just I'll just quickly go through it because the recording was not there. Okay, so sorry, but yeah. Okay, so we'll start with client server architecture. Again, I'll repeat what client server architecture is. Anything that is sending a request, okay, becomes a client. Okay, anything that is sending a request to a server becomes a client. It can be your laptop, your PC, personal computer, your smartphone, your smartwatch, your smart TV. All these are clients because they are endpoint devices that are sending a request. Where they are sending the request, they are sending a request to the server. A server is a machine that provides you a certain kind of service. What services it can provide? It can provide you web pages, it can provide you a database, it can provide you emails and all this. Okay, so they become what? They become web server, email server, database server. For example, I type www.fb.com, okay, Facebook, and it gives me the login page. So my www.facebook.com is a request, and the login page that is sent back is the service. Okay, then the major difference between the two is that a client program runs only when it requests for a service from the server, while the server program runs all the time as it does not know when the service is requested. Okay, advantages, disadvantages. You can pause the video and go through it. Okay, and now we are back at the demo. Okay, so what I was saying is that for a connection to be made between a client and a server, you need sockets. Okay, sockets are nothing but plugs that are used for communication. So जब आप कोई चार्जर लगाते हो तो वो कहाँ लगाते हो? सॉकेट में, ठीक है? तो वो एक सॉकेट हो गया और उसकी दूसरी पिन कहाँ? इन योर फोन. So that is another socket. So you have a client socket which is your phone. Okay, phone का charging portal, and you have the main switch जहां पे आपने चार्जर लगाया which is the server socket. ठीक है, एक सर्वर है और एक आपका फोन है क्लाइंट. ठीक है, सो सर्वर क्या कर रहा है? आपको इलेक्ट्रिसिटी दे रहा है, आपको चार्जिंग दे रहा है, राइट? सो द मेन स्विच पोर्ट becomes the server socket and your phone charging point becomes the client sockets. Sockets are nothing but ports. Okay, ports as in a thing, a program, an application, a software that is used for communication. एक होगा आपके पास, एक होगा सर्वर के पास. ठीक है, सॉकेट ये बस सॉफ्टवेयर के लिए, इट्स द सॉफ्टवेयर टर्म. ठीक है, जब आपको किसी को बोलना होगा तो यू विल से सॉकेट. Okay, how is the setup? That this is your PC, there will be a port, virtual port, and that port will have a socket which will you will create and customize it according to your needs. What are the needs? Like create a socket, delete socket, reset, receive data, send data. Okay, once you create, the same will be there on the server. And since the server is always listening, when you request something, a connection is made. So a connection is made from your client server to the, sorry, client socket to a server socket. Okay, how it is made? It is made via ports. It is the same thing. Okay, and that is why I showed you the demo. In demo, what did I do? I said hi message to the server replied with a hi. I sent the message testing 2 to the server replied back by echoing the same message. The same thing was done from this client as well. I said hi, server said hi. Okay, then I said testing 3, server replied the message back. If I say one more time, okay, see, I say hi and I say testing 4, then the same message is replied back by the server to me. If you see, you can see here accepted connection from the IP address of the client and the socket or the port on which the connection is established. So the server receives messages from client 4 on here, on this port, on this socket. Okay, as you can see, like I said, there are around 65,000 virtual ports, and that is why the number is different for different clients. Okay, this is listening. He's listening on 50,000, he's listening on 51, he's listening on 49. The server is listening on these different ports for different clients. Any doubt? I'll keep it here. Let me know if you guys have any doubts. Anything you did not understand. Okay. Since you guys have no doubts, this is our server client architecture will work. Okay. A little bit of explanation on the code. Okay. So you import libraries. Okay. Socket for socket creating and threading for the clients that you have. Okay. You assign the server host. Okay. You assign it an IP address. Since I am okay. Why the 127.0.0.1?
It's a local.
Yeah, because I'm running it on the local machine, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see. Let's try something else. Let's try. Let's see if this works. Should work. Yep, works. Did you understand the change? At least did you see what
Client
I changed?
क्लाइंट एंड सर्वर का आईपी एड्रेस सेम होना चाहिए क्या?
Hmm?
क्लाइंट
Ask, ask.
एंड क्लाइंट एंड सर्वर का आईपी एड्रेस सेम होना चाहिए क्या?
Okay. So what I did here was, okay, I assigned server host पहले क्या था 127.0.0.1. Why? Because मैं अपने खुद के मशीन पे रन कर रहा था. So I changed the IP address to show you कि it will run. I mean this function will run assuming कि server कहीं और है. assume the server is in Africa, okay, and the IP address of it is 192.168.0.102. Okay, in this case I used my own machines because I needed to work, right? So what I did, server host is equal to 192.168.0.102. So I told my PC to run a server. Okay, so now the server is running on my PC, which is 192.168.0.102. What I did here was, in client, I told him where he needs to connect. Okay, he needs to connect on 192.168.0.102. So I am setting the variable value to the IP address. So in this server code, the server will understand where it should run, and in this client code, it understand where it should connect. Okay, in both the cases, I am setting the variable value to the IP address of the connection. ठीक है? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. Next. So next is server port. Okay. So server is port is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I show it to here, okay, we have a server whose IP is 192.168.0.102. There we have created a port. And what is that port? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that port is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then we tell him over here, if you see this part, server socket is equal to socket.socket. And this is library. Yeah? So it is defined in the library. This is where I'm creating a socket. Okay. So this is where I create the socket. This is my 3-pin plug, जो उल्टा लगा हुआ है for some reason. Okay. And it says what? Server socket listen for 500 milliseconds, which is 5 seconds listening for incoming connections. So ये ना अभी सुन रहा है. Okay, it is listening. And then there we have a client, which is me, which I also have a port. Okay, and I just said what? Okay, I just sent hi. To where did I send hi? Over here, server host 192.168.0.102. Okay, if you want to see here, where did I send? Hmm. Okay, this is receive welcome message. Get user input. Okay, I pressed hi over here. Okay, and then send the message to the server. Client socket is equal to send all message. ठीक है? Like I said, मेरा भी एक socket होगा. Okay, and when it executes this code, client socket dot send all, a connection is made from here to there. Okay, when the server receives that connection, what does it show you? Received from 192.168.0.102. The IP is same because both are running on the same machine. Okay, the IP same. Why? Because all of this is running on my screen, on my own machine, right? That is why the IP is same. And I received the connection from where? 51443, which means जो सर्वर का ये पोर्ट था उसी हिसाब से मेरा पोर्ट is what? 51443. 51443. So I am sending messages on this. Server is receiving messages on this. This is the connection made. Okay. Again, you can find this in Java, C++, whichever you're comfortable with, or whatever you want to try out. Okay, anything is fine. This original code was in Java. I converted it into Python. Okay, so I think maybe online you'll find Java easily. I guess, I'm not sure. Okay, so this is, let's see what it is. Okay, so this part is what? Handling communication. So it handles communication with the single client. Okay, we have our client socket, client address. Why? So that we can print this accepted connection from what? This 192.168.5143. If you see in this. Okay, कहाँ से हमें connection आया? It came from this port, this plug. Out of all the plugs, of course there will be multiple. It's 51,000, right? So there are more sockets over here like this. These are programs running those sockets, and we received a connection from which one? This one. Okay, so it's to use to present print from where we got the connection. Okay, it is used to send a welcome message to the client. Okay, so receive data from the client. Message is a variable. What does it do? It says client socket say receive buffer size which is 1024. मतलब उतना ही मैसेज एक्सेप्ट करना जितनी साइज है, which is 1024. तो अगर मैं लिखूं हाय दिस इज यशराज, वेलकम टू माय क्लास, दिस इज नेटवर्क्स एंड वी आर लर्निंग दिस एंड सो, और मैं बड़बड़ करते जाऊं तो भी सारा मैसेज नहीं आएगा. मैसेज कब तक आएगा? हाय वेलकम टू माय ओवर. व्हाई? बिकॉज द बफर साइज इज 1024. ठीक है, सो रिसीव साइज बफर 1024, सिर्फ उतना ही मैसेज आएगा. Okay, once the message is received, we print the message received from client address and message. Do we have that? Yes, received from IP address and port. Okay, now client address is in the form of a tuple. This variable client address that you just saw, sorry, the variable client address is in the form of tuple. What does tuple have? Tuple is like two messages. One is IP, one is port. Okay, so that is why when you say connection from was, okay, this one received, it shows what? Client address. Okay, and message. Okay, what was the value of the message? It was hi, which is printed over here. And where did we, and since it is a tuple which is IP comma port, it was what? 192.168.0.2 and comma the connection, the port from where it came, 51443. Okay, now where is this written? Client address एक tuple है और उसका it includes an IP address and port. ये कहाँ लिखा है? और where generally something like this is defined? इसका definition कहाँ मिलेगा मुझे? Any guesses? तुम कौन सी लैंग्वेज यूज की हो ये बताओ. Which languages have you used?
C and Python.
Okay, C and Python. So C में you have used input output streams, right? Yes. Okay, for all, let's do it for all. ठीक है. So C में it has written, right, कि input, I don't remember, I think this input like this और C out ऐसा होगा. तो ये this,
C in and C out.
हाँ, C in and C out. This कि अगर ये शब्द मैं लिखूं और ऐसे एरो डालूं तो यहाँ पे जो भी लिखा जाएगा वो एक इनपुट होगा. ये कैसे समझता है कंप्यूटर को? ये तुम्हारे कोड को कैसे समझता है? ये कहाँ लिखा होता है? जैसे मैं पूछ रहा हूं इसके बारे में कि जब मैं क्लाइंट एड्रेस लिखता हूं और यहाँ पे जब मैं ब्रैकेट डालता हूं, उसको पता चलता है कि वैल्यू लेनी है, लेकिन कैसे वैल्यू लेनी है? टपल में. टपल इज व्हाट? दिस टू वैल्यूज. ओके, एक है आईपी एड्रेस और एक पोर्ट. तो ये कैसे समझता है? जैसे सी इन सॉफ्टवेयर को समझता है, वैसे ये क्लाइंट एड्रेस वाला कैसे समझता है? कहाँ लिखा होता है ये?
सर लाइब्रेरी में.
यस, थैंक यू. लाइब्रेरीज. इसकी कौन सी लाइब्रेरी है? सॉकेट लाइब्रेरी. ठीक है, तो सॉकेट लाइब्रेरी है. ओके, जहां पे ये बताया गया है कि जब क्लाइंट एड्रेस की वैल्यू तुम निकालोगे तो वो होगी एक आईपी एड्रेस और एक पोर्ट. आईपी एड्रेस जहां से तुम्हें कनेक्शन आ रहा है, और पोर्ट जिस पोर्ट से, जिस कनेक्शन से, जिस प्लग से आ रहा है वो. जस्ट अ मिनट. हेलो, कहा है बोल. Guys, let's take a break. Okay, I have to get on some different call. Let's meet back at 7. Okay, it's 6:53. Let's meet back at 7. Okay. Screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So we receive the data. If no data is received, the client has disconnected. Okay. And generally it should work for 5 seconds because somewhere we had written 5 seconds. Yeah, this. Okay. But if you see it, it is not working right now because it's been more than 5 minutes and the connection has not break. I think I have to put exit. Yeah, closing connection, but it closes on the client side and not over here. Do you know why? I said exit, closing connection, okay, and it comes to my directory, but here it says only says closed and nothing else. It just keeps beeping. Why? Remember the difference between client and server? The point I mentioned. A client program runs only when it requests for a service from the server, while the server program runs all the time as it does not know when its service is required. So even though I have said it five, it's like five, 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 immediately one after the other. Hence, when I said exit, it closed the connection of local 5. Okay, not of anything else. These are still going on. I can still say hi. I can still say testing 5. Okay. Okay. This is not working because it was connected to the previous host. Okay, this is the new host that I run and not the other one. Okay, if I let's pick another one, and if I say client, say hi, okay, it is still running. It failed over here. An existing connection was forcibly closed by the remote source because if you remember, I opened this terminal again and executed the server one again. These are all old ones for which client is still on, but the server is switched off. I terminated the server. Okay. So exit won't also work because I'm already out in the directory. So this is gone. Okay. Again, I am already out of the directory and these two are remaining. Okay. Yeah. So then receive from client address and message. I just told you how it shows. It shows from where the connection came and on what port or socket it is listening on. Echo the message back to the client. Client socket dot send all. Client socket, which is 61100. Send it all, which is I think over here. So server says hi. Okay, this is the sending of hi. Exception, this is error handling, that if something else comes up, like agar mera actual mein internet kharab ho gaya and uh, the connection breaks, then it would say connection with client address was reset. That is not possible here because it is all in the IDE. ठीक है, एक ही एप्लीकेशन में. So if my net goes, both my client and server will shut down. There is no breakage of one or the other. ठीक है. Finally close the connection when I say exit. ठीक है, client, let's say. So it says server host is this and the server port is 12345. It is to tell कि server कहाँ है और कौन से port पे सुन रहा है, listening. Okay. Then I create a socket over here. I'll tell you what these parameters are. ठीक है. So I created a socket over here and said print connected to the server. Okay. You will get a welcome message. So client.socket receive the message and displayed this welcome to the server. ठीक है, connected to the server. Once I create the socket and welcome to the server, once I get the message from here, where it is here, client socket को send all करो. क्या send all करो? ये पूरा message send करो, welcome to the server. उसको मैसेज रिसीव होता है, जो मैसेज रिसीव होता है उसको प्रिंट करना है. क्या प्रिंट करना है? क्लाइंट डॉट रिसीव, क्लाइंट सॉकेट पे मुझे जो रिसीव हुआ है वो. ओके, हियर on my whatever is received, whatever message is received on this socket of mine, on this port, okay, that needs to be printed. So client server over here sends a message on the socket. Why socket? Because it is on connection. So socket is nothing but a software application. ठीक है, software program. Okay, socket is nothing but a software program. कैसे होगा? It will be like true if x y z and this and this and close. So this is the program. This is nothing but the socket. तो इस पे जब वो कनेक्शन एस्टेब्लिश होगा वो मैसेज भेजेगा इस प्रोग्राम में, इस पोर्ट पे 51,000 पे. इट विल डिस्प्ले द मैसेज वेलकम टू द सर्वर. ठीक है, दैट इज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग. सो क्लाइंट सॉकेट पे जब मैसेज रिसीव होगा यू डिस्प्ले द मैसेज. देन गेट यूजर इनपुट. मैसेज इज इक्वल टू इनपुट डॉट यू. ओके, यू में एज इन यू, व्हाट आर यू गोइंग टू टाइप? यू आर गोइंग टू टाइप मैसेज which is hi. It goes into the variable message. Where is the message variable? Here on the server part. ठीक है, तो मैसेज वेरिएबल सर्वर में भी है. व्हाट इट इज? इट इज इक्वल टू क्लाइंट सॉकेट से जो भी आ रहा है वो जाएगा मैसेज में और मैं उसको यहाँ पे डिस्प्ले करूंगा. इफ यू सी प्रिंट रिसीव फ्रॉम, दिस इज द मैसेज. वेयर डू आई टाइप द मैसेज? आई टाइप इट ओवर हियर. मैसेज इज इक्वल टू इनपुट यू व्हिच इज हाई. ठीक है, इफ मैसेज लोअर इज इक्वल टू एग्जिट, जो मैंने यहाँ डाला था एग्जिट, इट इज क्लोजिंग कनेक्शन एंड ब्रेक. सो द कनेक्शन इज क्लोज. ठीक है, client socket send all, send the message to the server, receive and prints the server response. Response is equal to client socket dot receive. client socket से हम client socket पे, ठीक है, client socket पे, ये जो client socket है मेरा इधर इधर जिसको with the one which I'm moving, उस पे जो भी मैसेज आएगा client socket dot receive, put that value in the variable response and then print the response which is hi. I sent hi, I got hi. Okay, this is where it is. See, client socket को send all करो. This is what receive and this is send all. If you see over here, it is client socket dot recv. Here it is send all. ठीक है, send the all the message. What was the message? The hi that I sent it. I got it back and I displayed it. Again, these are exceptions. जैसे जावा में होता है try and catch block होता है, वैसे पाइथन में except होता है. Okay, I don't know much about this because मैंने कभी इसको ज्यादा यूज किया है नहीं. ठीक है, I know about try and catch block. So you try is like try this function, try this functionality, try this calculation. ठीक है, और उसमें तुम पास करते हो वेरिएबल. ठीक, और उसमें से कुछ आया, so try and catch what? Catch an error. What could be the error? कि तुमने लॉजिक तुम्हारा गलत है, तुम मेमोरी कम असाइन किए हो, तुम्हारा वेरिएबल नेम गलत है, तुम कैलकुलेशन गलत कर रहे हो. So catch this error and then you print it. That is exactly what is being done here. Except connection refuse अगर error आता है तो उसे print करो. Okay. So it is similar to the try and catch block in Java. Any doubt? कुछ पूछना है? I'll keep this open over here. If you want me to scroll to any particular part, please do let me know. If you want to see client, please do let me know. I'll give you 2-3 minutes.
How the port number is changed?
Yeah. What did you say?
How the port number is changed? जैसे कि आपने पोर्ट नंबर
हाँ.
मतलब पोर्ट में दिया है कि 1 2 3 4
5.
वन, हाँ, लेकिन वो जब
Okay.
आउटपुट में आईपी
यहाँ
एड्रेस
पे.
के बाद, हाँ, वो कुछ
हाँ.
और दिखा रहा है, वो
Okay.
क्यों?
क्योंकि सी क्योंकि वो जो पोर्ट है ना अनचेंजिंग, वो सर्वर का है. ठीक है. तो ओके, ये पिक्चर याद रखना. ठीक है. एवरीथिंग इज ऑन द कंप्यूटर एंड इट इज रनिंग ओवर हियर. So the 1 2 3 4 5 you see is the server port. ठीक है. Server is listening to connections on this port. ठीक है. तो ये अपना सर्वर, ये हुआ पोर्ट, और वो पोर्ट है 1 2 3 4 5. It is listening to what? Connections from what? PCs. ठीक है. ये अपना कान, it it is listening to PCs. Good enough. Okay, so the server is not going to change because there is only one server. Lekin I can have multiple clients, one PC2. If you see over here, this is which local 6. So I had local as in PC. ठीक है. ये मेरा PC था, उसका नाम था local 1. Then it was local 2. Then it was local 3. और अब जाके मैं आया हूँ local 6 पे. Okay. And as you know or as you seen कि पीसी को भी एक पोर्ट चाहिए जहां पे वो सॉकेट बना सके. क्यों? क्योंकि कनेक्शन करना है. तो ये जो पोर्ट नंबर चेंज हो रहा है, ये अलग अलग क्लाइंट्स का है. क्लाइंट चेंज होगा, पोर्ट चेंज होगा. ठीक है. सर्वर तो एक ही है, सर्वर इज नॉट चेंजिंग. क्लाइंट चेंजेस, ये चेंजेस. सो फॉर you have been assigned a port 51443. I have been assigned a port 61100. So what you see here, received from this and high is from this. Okay, so the first high that the server received was from you. The first high that the server received was sent by you, which is this machine on port this. The second high which was sent by me from my machine on port 6110. The ports are different because these are different connections coming from different people. Okay. Good. Thank you for asking. If there is nothing, I'll move ahead. Okay. Now, so whatever we used in this library, I am giving you the example. Okay. Like I said, some of these libraries, like for example, socket.get hostname is not of Python. Okay. If you see here, oh, it is of Python. Okay. Python 2 या फिर दूसरे कोड में रहेगा, but it must be from an older code. ठीक है. Sorry, where is the call? Yeah. So this socket.get hostname is a library. I mean, there was a older code, and in that code I had used socket.get hostname. I have not used that in this code. Okay, if you see, I haven't used socket.get hostname anywhere in my code. This was from an older code, but this will generally give you an idea of what the libraries are or what and how it has been used. Okay. So socket types. The socket library supports various types of sockets, including socket.sockstream for TCP and sock.sockdgram for datagram sockets. This I have used. I'll show you where. Here. Okay. So it tells the machines that the socket that I am using to make a connection and send, like I said, socket is nothing but a software program. Socket is what? Socket is put where? Under a port. It is this. It is nothing but a software program, and it will look something like this. Like if A is greater than B, then this, then true, then if, then else, and then close. Okay, this is nothing but our socket. It will look something like this. So now sock stream is what it defines if it is for TCP or UDP. So the kind of data I'm sending from this connection, this to server, is what kind of data? TCP. And us hisab se, based on that, I have to use a socket. So a particular type of code I have to use for sending TCP. This code is for TCP, okay, which is the socket. And for UDP, it will be something like if, like true, continue, and then close. Okay, something like that. Okay. Then socket methods. The library provides methods for creating sockets, binding them to specific addresses and ports, listening for incoming connections, and establishing connections to remote servers. Some common methods include socket, bind, listen, accept, connect, etc. I have used those as well. If you see, okay, see server.socket bind. So what does binding do? The socket that I've created gets binded to this server. इसका मतलब क्या होता है? सर्वर को ये आईपी एड्रेस असाइन हो जाता है. सर्वर अब ये पोर्ट पे लिसन करता है. Okay, so this is what the, where did it go? Yeah, server socket dot bind is. Then I have listen. Then we have send all. Where did it go? Send all. message receive this send all, जैसे send है वैसे send all है. Okay, if you see here transmission में send to, send all. Okay, these are all different functions. Listen is over here. Okay, these are socket methods. They are used for creating sockets and customizing them for connections. Network addressing, it allows you to work with IP addresses and ports. You can use socket.guest host name to get the local host name and socket.get host by name to resolve host names to IP address. Let's see if this works. Hopefully it should work after I have created the socket, but this is Python, so it should work. Hello, yeah. Hmm. Sorry. Yeah, which one is this? Socket.get hostname. ठीक है. I'll have to switch off my server. Let's try server 1. Server is listening. I'll need a client. Let's type client. Let's see if I get. No, I don't get. Oh, sorry. Okay, it's not coming. I'll find it and let you know on Sunday. Then data transmission. You can send and receive data over sockets using methods like send to, receive, and receive from. Okay, we have used this RECV. This one we have used this function RECV, okay, for receiving data. So what is this? This is used for receiving data from the server or vice versa. Okay, data transmission. For stream sockets, data is sent and received as a continuous stream of bytes, while the datagram sockets data is sent and received in discrete packets. Error handling, the library provides error handling mechanisms through connections Common exceptions include socket.error, socket.timeout, and others. Socket options, you can set various socket options using set socket option, which allows you to control the behavior of the socket, such as setting socket timeout, enabling use of address, and more. If you check on Google, you'll find the socket options. These are the socket options. Okay, socket, the library, and the options. So IO event socket options over here. Accept connection, attach filter, attach. The list is too big. Okay, you can check on your own. Socket attributes, you can access attributes like the local address and port of socket using get socket name, and the remote address and port of a connected socket using get peer name. I'll try to put this in function and let you know. The library includes constants for addressing families. So socket.afnet is for IPv4, socket.af inet6 is for IP6. Again, so what it does is it specifies socket.af inet. It means IP address 4. Okay, v4. So what it tells is the socket is using IPv4 and it should accept a connection from IPv4 and it should send and receive data on the IP address of IPv4. Okay, if we are using IPv6, this will fail. How will you start making it work? All you have to do is add the 6 over here. Okay, next, time and date service. Okay, the network time protocol was introduced to provide time sync mechanism. Time clients obtain high precise timing information from a time server in order to calibrate their own internal system time. In this manner, all the computers and devices on a network can operate on the same accurate data. If you want to see how important it is, what you do, this time that you see, okay, switch it to anything. Switch it to, for example, EST. Make sure your computer is on the EST time zone and try to download something from an Indian server. Okay, something from .in, for example, Nike.in, Amazon.in, not from the .com. The .com allows you to have to be in any time zone. Okay, so this protocol, what it does is key make sure your system is accurate to the time. If it is not, it will cause errors, like it will not let you download stuff or execute your application or some software which is connecting to the internet or getting some patching data, background processes. All this start failing if your time and date service is not up to date or functioning properly. Like I said, if you want to test, change the timing, try to download something from an Indian server or try to run an application on a HTTPS web server available online. Okay, but make sure that they are in different time zones. Okay, I'm sure you must have gotten that error sometime at least. I'll show you. See, 7 ways to fix. Ensure that the automatic is enabled so that why? Okay, so that your files are not corrupted, you get synced, and so on, etc. Okay, so this causes a problem with your Windows. Certain functionalities don't work properly. Okay, your mouse, if has any driver updates, it might stop working because you're not on the same time zone. Then key areas where time synchronization affects network operations are log file accuracy, auditing and monitoring, network fault diagnosis and recovery, file timestamps, directory services, access security and authentication, distributed computing, scheduled operations, real world time values. Okay. Any of these examples that you need to discuss further? Should we be discussing further? like you did not understand and want to see more about it. Okay, I'm assuming that you understood. Sequential and concurrent servers. I'm sure you must have searched and understood it beforehand. So I'm just going to go through the theory. If you have any doubts, you can ask in between. Okay. After that, we have broadcasting request. We'll take this on Sunday. I was trying to show a simulation, but it's not working as expected. So we'll finish at sequential and concurrent servers. Let me see what else do we have. ठीक है. Sequential server. So in a sequential server, incoming clients requests are processed one at a time in a sequential manner. When a client connects, the server handles its request from start to finish before moving on to the next client. This means that while one client's request is being processed, other clients have to wait. Typically easier to implement and reason about because there is no need of for synchronization between multiple concurrent requests. Concurrent servers. A concurrent server, on the other hand, is designed to handle multiple client connections. It uses some form of concurrency mechanism such as threads or processes to manage multiple client connections in parallel. Clients can connect and have their request processed concurrently, meaning that one client's request doesn't block others from being served. Concurrent servers are suitable for cases where the server's tasks are potentially time consuming. Example, file input output, database access, or when there are many clients connecting at the same time. Implementing a concurrent server can be more complex than a sequential server because you need to manage concurrency and potentially deal with issues like race conditions, synchronization, and thread safety. Okay. Let's take an example. So this client server that we had was processing what? Sequentially. I say hi, he replies with hi. I say testing, he says testing. Okay. So this was one process, two process, three process, four process. It was going in a sequence. Another example is of a load balancer. Do you guys know what load balancer is? ठीक. Load balancer is used to balance load. What do I mean by that? Okay, this is a machine. Okay, behind this machine, there are servers. Okay, like this. What we saw server.pn1, right? This is a server. Similarly, that whole code is on these machines, on these PCs, and they act as server. Server 1, server 2, server 3, server 4. Okay. Now what happens? In the example I showed you, there was just one. You guys are 4, 5, and we total amount to 7. Okay. Let's say there are 50,000 requests. okay, or let's say 1000, a small amount. Now what does the load balancer do? It distributes the request so that not all requests go to one server. Why? Because let's say each capacity is 300. Okay, let's say this is 300, this is 250, 350, and 100. Okay, so this is the capacity. What capacity of handling request? This server can handle 300 requests, server 2 250, this 350 and 100. Okay, so when you get 1000 requests, now imagine this is all you are getting simultaneously, because assume that everybody is trying to access Instagram. There are millions of people, लाखों करोड़ों लोग एक टाइम पे access करते हैं, right? So what happens is one request comes, okay, and then it says how many requests are running on this. I mean, how many web pages is it serving? Zero. Okay, the first request goes here. How much is this serving? Zero. Okay, the next request goes here. How much is this? Zero. One request, one request. Okay, now the thing is it went one by one. Okay, no matter what. Now sequential is what? It will go through the servers 1, 2, 3 and 4 in a sequence, even if no matter what the algorithm is. Let's say this is filled up to 283 requests. Okay, this is handling, server 1 is handling 283 requests out of 300, and S4 is handling only 50. Okay, so as per different algorithms the request should go to 50, the one S4, server 4, because it is handling 50. But what sequential does is it ignores that and it goes according to sequence. Okay, it goes to server 1 and it gives him the connection, so making it 284. It will handle, वो हम बाद में देखेंगे कि फास्ट नहीं है, लेटेंसी क्या वो, that is not our question. Okay, the point is कि irrespective of what is going on, it will check the first जगह होगी तो उसको दिया जाएगा, it will go by sequence, even if it is faster and better to directly go to S4 and give him the request. This is what will happen in sequential. On the other hand, in concurrent, what will happen? Concurrent, every server will be checked simultaneously. Okay, and it's wherever there is more space, which is over here, its capacity is like it can handle still 50 more requests. The Instagram access request that comes goes directly to S4, saving time. Another example, let's say there is a database here. Okay, and these servers are connected to this. Okay, in sequential, each process or request is handled in a sequential manner. So server 1 is first, server 2 is second, server 3 is third, and server 4 is fourth. Even if read write वाली request अलग होंगी, ठीक है? Read वाले को रुकना नहीं पड़ना चाहिए, right? Let's say the first request is write, okay, and the third request is read. Okay, so as per logic, सीक्वेंस कैसे, पहले राइट होगा फिर रीड होगा. ओके, बट अ रीड रिक्वेस्ट शुड नॉट बी वेटिंग, बिकॉज उसको कुछ चेंज करना है नहीं, उसको सिर्फ देखना है, राइट? सो बट इट इज स्टिल वेटिंग बिकॉज पहले सर्वर 1 की रिक्वेस्ट पूरी होगी, फिर 2 की, फिर 3 की. In concurrent, all these come together and sees that the third is read, which doesn't require anything else, उसको बस डेटा देखना है. तो first this request is processed and then the write request is processed. Okay, hence in concurrent, ठीक है, hence in concurrent servers more complex than sequential servers. क्योंकि तुम्हें मैनेज करनी पड़ती है, तुम्हें कोड लिखना पड़ता है, तुम्हें लिखना पड़ेगा कि अगर रीड ही है तो अलाउ करे, बिकॉज राइट से फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा। ओनली रीड वाला तो वापस भी देख सकता है ना, ये राइट के बाद फिर से देख सकता है, राइट? So this logic that you have to write, the handling of 4 connections at a time that you have to handle is the extra complexity and code that is introduced in concurrent servers. ठीक है? What else? Okay, it has to manage multiple threads. Threads are nothing but these multiple connections that are made by the server to a particular application. Okay, that's what sequential and concurrent servers are. ठीक. Okay, on Sunday be ready with your BGP assignments. Okay, we'll have a presentation. Okay, if there are no doubts, we can close the session. Okay, thank you for joining. Tomorrow there won't be class. We'll see you on Sunday. Usual timing 9:30 to 11:15. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.